Hi, welcome to Ask Professor Revel, a monthly medical series brought to you by Kadima. I'm your host, Marjie Hadad. Today, we're going to talk about ALS and nutrition. Now, we all know that nutrition is important for all of us. Professor Revel, why is it especially important for people living with ALS?
High glucose and diets rich in phenols, even ketogenic diets, especially if you have supplements of vitamins such as L-serine or other, all these are very important so that when you start the disease, you're in a better condition because you're going to lose weight.
Let's get into some of the specifics. What foods would you recommend?
We're speaking with a diet with more calories than expenditure. We want the patients to gain some weight. So this can be chicken or fish, even chocolate, and foods like that can be eaten at the beginning. In latter stages of the disease, when swallowing becomes difficult, you can recommend shakes with high fat and high glucose and sugar and all kinds of fruits and berries, which are rich in antioxidants and sugars.
And time intervals. How often should somebody with ALS be eating?
If you want to gain weight, I think you need to consider eating smaller meals, but more often. So if we can have patients with ALS have 3 meals and even intermittent meals between them, because it's going to be difficult for them to swallow and get the volume and the quantity that they need. Therefore, I would recommend 5 or 6 meals in general. Some of them can be quite small, but as long as you get the total number of high fat and high glucose diet.
What are the studies showing in terms of the difference between men and women in calorie intake if you have ALS?
So a study in Review Neurological from 2020 from Utah, USA, has looked into the difference between men and women and in the differences both in human and even in mice. So we know that in human, most ALS patients are men, and testosterone seems to have a negative effect and quicken deterioration. And on the opposite side, estrogen, progesterone do seem to give some protection. But we cannot choose if we are with male or female hormones. Nevertheless, we can impact our diet. But it is quite important that in the future, more studies are done, even in animals. Most animal studies are done on male. So we need more data about females, and we can learn maybe about the effect of hormones and how they interact with hormones of diet, such as leptin. But altogether, both men and women need a high-fat, high-glucose diet.
Are there any dangers to consider?
So it is quite sad, but towards the end of the disease with progression, it is more difficult to swallow, and people could suffocate from solid food. So at this stage, we would recommend shakes and try to keep the high-fat, high-glucose diet for as long as possible, even with difficulties swallowing.
Professor Revel, this has been great, really, really helpful. Any concluding thoughts that you'd like to share?
Considering diet, both for men and for women, try to have not a balanced diet, but actually a diet which is high in fat and high in glucose so that you gain some weight, so that you have good reserves before deterioration of the disease. So start high. This would be my recommendation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you next time.